it is that growing up, that whole man of the house thing. You don't
Yeah.
show emotions. You tough it out. You're raising a family. You're bringing the money in, and all of that sort of stuff. And any kind of sign of weakness, it almost feels like it's a ripple down effect. It's like if the man of the house is starting to struggle, then like the family is on shaky foundations and that sort of stuff, which is wrong. All right, let's start with the first topic, the silent struggle. Why men don't talk about emotional pain. Shane, what do you think that is the case? If that's the case for you, obviously.
Look, it had been the case for me growing up, but never from a home standpoint. I was primarily brought up by my mother. My dad passed away when I was young, so really didn't have much of that kind of influence. And so my mum always encouraged us to talk to her. But I know with friends and people at school and that sort of thing, it was never really encouraged to kind of have those deep conversations and things like that. Even though you could kind of sense that in your friends things were going on, you'd ask questions, that sort of thing. But no one was really kind of forthcoming, opening up. And I guess there's from our time of the 80s when we were kind of younger, the thought around that time was, guys don't kind of show their feelings and talk about their feelings. You don't do those things, but it seemed very different, like from home and then outside of home, what we did as guys,
Yeah, I'm similar to you in that aspect. We're close in age. Both of my parents were around, and I think from memory, now that I think about it, like I as a son didn't talk to them too much about certain things. As a kid, I most likely grew up just having thoughts to myself, and from being a kid to being a teenager to then growing up, a lot of that stuff is still inside. And I think what happened is I was able to process them internally successfully, which is a good and a bad thing. It's good in that I keep thinking to myself that I can get through this alone. And I would have to say, touch wood, as a good thing, it's helped me out. But now as life gets a bit more complex and as I'm starting to change different things and start to do other things, that internal method of me trying to sort something out, I just don't have the knowledge. I don't know who to turn to. And it's when I start to reach out to people that may have done that through email, through calls, which is a bit uncomfortable. And it always has been, I think, just because I've not done it so often. And the strange thing is I'm actually much more used to it being the opposite way, where people are asking me for help. And it's taken a while for me to realize that, oh, okay, so giving people advice and help is great. I should be doing the same thing for my own things and asking other people where I need help. So it's probably not until like the last 5, 7, 8 years that I've really been open to talking to people about, emotional stuff that I need help with, money stuff, relationship stuff. And even still, when I get to that point, I've played it in my head like 1,000 times. It's not. Yeah. It's I have some friends that are the total opposite, and these are guy friends too, where they're just super happy to share. To the point where it's like, I don't need to know that, but since you've mentioned it and you've wanted some help, I'm going to see what I can do. So I think it's what you said before. For me, it's always been, it had always got me to a place where I was able to solve things internally, which again is good when I was younger. Now that I'm a bit older, it's pretty bad. And it is that growing up, that whole man of the house thing. You don't
Yeah.
show emotions. You tough it out. You're raising a family. You're bringing the money in and all of that sort of stuff. And any kind of sign of weakness, it almost feels like it's a ripple down effect. It's like if the man of the house is starting to struggle, then like the family is on shaky foundations and that sort of stuff, which is wrong. But I think now in the 2020s, it's becoming a little bit more commonplace to speak out. Still not as much as what I'd like or what I'd hoped for. And of the times that I've seen it happen, either in person or through Facebook groups, it's almost like, I'm not saying it's too late, but they've left it for too long, because the discussions aren't really about proactively asking for help. It's like, guys, I'm at the end of my tether. This has been going on for 6 months, and it's almost like a desperation cry for help, rather than a question or a want for help near the beginning. It's almost like they've waited far too long.
Yeah. It seems to happen like that quite often. I have to agree with you. Even though in society, I think it's less of a stigma these days as what it was. Certainly, men are still holding on to these things until the very last minute, if at all, talking about it. And I was just curious. You said you've had discussions like this with other people that have come to you. Were they mainly women or men, or a balance of both?
I've had with the men that I've spoken to, it's been more of a fact-finding mission for me, and those people I've known for quite some time, so it's not like an immediate sense of trust. It's gained for quite some time, and I might have known these people for many years before they even start to reveal some of their secrets and some of their hardships. On the flip side, with women, hi, how are you? My name is Dexter. Hey, I've got a problem with this. I've got a problem with that. They're super happy to share.
Yep.
And because they're happy to share, I'm happy to reciprocate and say, these are my problems. And they're like, oh, maybe try this. And it just seems like it's a lot more free flowing. What they say is, women are always, they can express their emotions a lot easier, freer amongst themselves, obviously.
Yeah.
And if you can, if you have certain relationships with women where they're happy to share that stuff with you, it's almost immediate, and it's like there's almost no hesitation there, and they're actually wanting your opinion. So it's becoming a lot more. It's becoming easier, I feel, anyway. But that's because it's me asking other guys if they actually need the help, rather than, say, for example, most of the women that I know that are needing help with certain things, they'll just ask and they'll tell.
Yeah.
So it's if you are friends with a person long enough, you can tell when there's something wrong. If it's a guy, you can talk, and then within a couple of minutes, there's something wrong, and it takes a little bit of coaxing. It's like, what's happening? How's the family? And sometimes you have to actually ask the right question for them to actually want to go down that path to tell you. And a couple of times with friends and just with guy friends as well, it's like they want to tell you, but they want that opportunity for you to go down that path, for them to lead on to what it is that they actually want to tell you, rather than just straight up being like, hey, I've got a problem with my partner, or I've got a problem with my kids. It's almost like there's this dance where they're trying to find the right time to slot in and say, hey, now that you talk about kids, my eldest is doing something, which I might need some help with.
Yeah.
So what about you? Like, is it the same with your group of friends, or?
Pretty much, yes. I've found all throughout life, really, it's always been quite easy for me to open up with women. I've had a lot of female friends where we go very deep, very easily, with people that wanted to discuss not just problems, but I just mean in terms of being an open book, But then I've had male friends that I've known for 40 years, and there's quite a surface level where you kind of maintain this is the relationship we have. We don't talk about those things, and it's not from not wanting to create the space. You may create that space, and like you said, you may actually feel there's something going on because this isn't how they're normally acting or whatever, something's going on. But there has been a reluctance to kind of, open up. Maybe they're not used to doing that. But it really comes down to that relationship too that you have with that person, because they've perhaps only seen you in a particular light for, decades maybe. And so creating a different kind of space for them to be able to open up for these things. And sometimes I think when you make yourself vulnerable and you actually say, I'm going through this, and open up that space, it gives them, that permission to kind of do the same. Yeah. And go a little bit deeper below that surface,
Yeah, that's a good point. It's funny. It's now that I think about what you said, it is times when a couple of my oversharing friends will come over or will talk, and they'll immediately go into their wants and needs, and I love them for it, and it's fine. And then sometimes I actually get jealous of that because they're just so, they just share so freely. And it's genuine too. It's not like they're trying to boast or anything. It's like, hey, I need help with this, or I'm having problems with this. And as best as I can, I provide the help. But of the times they've done that, I find myself a lot more willing to share some information because they've already come out and said it.
Yeah.
But it's, it's funny how you can be friends with somebody for literally decades. But your friendship level is like up here. And then you might meet somebody and within a couple of weeks start to talk at a different level, and you feel like you're a lot more connected with those people because they are willing to share.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is almost that, you have to be vulnerable in yourself so that they can, whoever it is that you're talking to, whether it's one person or a couple of people, are then going, okay, well, if he's taking the conversation here, it could be a safe space for me to then join in and maybe add my thoughts, or maybe sort of come in with my potential issues as well.
Yeah.
But it is that male ego thing as well, right? Like you don't want to. You're always. It's kind of like social media. Everybody shows the best side of themselves.
Yeah.
And so when you catch up with friends, sure you want to catch up and talk and have a good time. But more often than not, you just want to keep things at that level. You might not catch up with people too often, which is kind of the case these days. The older we get, the amount of friends that we have just starts to dwindle and get smaller. And so when you do get that time to catch up, you kind of want to have fun, and you don't want to bombard the person with like bad news or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's it's funny how that sort of happens, and so. When you do get to catch up, you don't want to say, oh, we're going through a bit of a rough patch in our marriage, or, financially we're not doing so good. And, as much as we tell ourselves that really no one else's opinion should matter, I feel like we still keep other people's opinions, not so much top of mind, but they kind of affect us.
Yeah.
So, you don't go into conversations and go, well, I don't want to share too much because they'll think that we're poor, or they'll think that we're not good parents, or they'll think that our marriage is on the rocks. And you kind of always want to portray to people that everything is fine, whereas if everyone had a filter where they could see everyone's problems, it'll be like, oh, everyone's got problems. Why can't you just 100%. Talk about it at the start?
100%. It's kind of like living social media life in real life, sort of.
It is. It is.
Yeah. I think, the secret is to find that, 2 or 3 like confidence, I guess, where you can open up to them. They're not going to judge you. And even if they just listen to you, it's kind of getting that off your chest, out of your mind, that sort of thing. But even if you had one person that you could talk to, that they could help you through a situation, you don't need to talk about your business to everybody, all your friends. And like you said, most of the time you just want to get together with them, have a good time. That's it. But there's probably about 1 to 3 friends that you could probably go a little bit deeper on, that are happy to listen to you and give you a helping hand.
I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story which is similar.
Yeah.
So I've signed up for a coaching course which starts later this month.
Brilliant.
And I mentioned this to you before.
Yeah.
And so it's all going ahead. Once the course is done, then I'm going to have to tell people that I'm a coach, which is a totally new identity for me.
Yeah.
And over the past, probably say week, I've slowly introduced that concept to people that I love and people that I care for. Yeah. And I've had to do it in weird formats. I've done videos, funnily enough, and I've done that because of time pressures, and I wanted to have a particular order that I wanted to tell people. Like I didn't want to, it's kind of like top of the tree stuff. So it's like starting at the top of my wife and then my family and all of this sort of stuff. So I recorded some videos and I sent it to them, and I messaged them and said, "Hey, I just sent you a video. Can you watch it?" And I had some really good feedback, and that made me happy. So once I started to get further down this tree of people that I wanted to tell, it now started to come to people that I was like, oh, I've got to tell that guy. Like I really should. And some of these people were that platonic friends that I might have known forever. Yeah. But they don't know me as that person because I've never had to speak to them in that way or say, this is what I want to do. Like we talk about cars, we talk about computers and music and other stuff, but we never sort of go down that path.
Yeah.
Now it's not because I don't want to bring it up. It's just there was never really an opportunity, and it wasn't like a thing where I'd say, "Hey guys, let's talk about spirituality." It just didn't feel right. So I started to tell some people, and in particular my cousin, who I love the most. She's in Sydney, and I said to her, "This is what I'm wanting to do. I'm taking this coaching course, and I want to be a goals coach or a life coach." And she's like, "That is such a good thing to do." She said, "I used to use one many, many years ago, and my life is as a result of me having one back in the day." And I never knew that. Yeah. And for me, that was like, wow, that's really cool. And she's like the 3rd or the 4th person that I've told that had no idea that this was kind of in me.
Yeah.
That said, "Oh yeah, I could see you doing that," or "You'd be really good at that." And it's like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And I'm like, but in my head, I'm already preconceiving their reaction to it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but it's almost like I don't know what they're going to think. Like this is a bit weird. But now becoming vulnerable and telling them this is what I want to do, a lot of them are like, "Yeah, I used one before," or "My friend does one and he's doing great," or you'd be really good at this. It's actually, it's a boost to the self-esteem. I'm like, maybe I should have told people more often. But I'm still, I'm still stuck in that. I want to keep things to myself, because I've made this identity and I want to do this other identity. And this other identity in itself isn't one that's generally seen as being masculine, right? Like I'm an IT guy, right? So that's what it's called, an IT guy. There's not too many IT gals.
Yeah.
So, if I was doing something else and I was to tell a person, "Hey, I'm thinking of getting into IT," no problem. Like every guy has been in IT at some point.
Yeah.
But because I'm wanting to become a coach, which is something that's, it's very different. It's not a masculine thing per se. It's talking about things that most men don't generally. It was like, I'm going to cop some backlash here. So I was letting their potential opinions affect me. Yeah. And then when it came time to do it, it was the total opposite.
Yeah.
I was like, "Go for it. That sounds good. You're going to be great at this. You're going to be excellent." And I'm like, I'm an idiot. So the more that I do it, the more that I am a bit more comfortable in starting to tell people. And sure, look, I might get the odd remark here and there, but then by then I probably would have received so many other positive comments and remarks. And it's like, it's probably going to be in jest anyway. So it's just one of those things, like, close to 50 years old now. And I'm only now starting to learn that, okay, well, I tell people, like, just don't worry about what they say.
Yeah,
like, just ignore it. But when 100%. It comes time for you to take your own advice, it's a bit different.
Yes, I know it is easy to kind of give the advice, isn't it? But to actually walk the road, I found this similar as well. Like most of the people that know me as a musician. Yes, I've had all different types of jobs, but I've been playing music since the time I was 11, and so I've spoken to people about things that I wanted to do, ambitions that I've had, and this, in terms of the coaching space, is something that I've been doing on and off for the last 10 years. And so to actually take on that identity as my main thing, this is my main thing, not the music thing. The music thing I still love, but so this weekend, actually just gone past, we had a party and there was a whole lot of people there that I hadn't seen for a long time. So when they said, "What are you up to?" So I had to spill the beans.
How did that go? How did that go?
Went really well.
Okay.
Because I told them about what you and I are doing, and the people that we want to reach out to and assist, and they said, I can see you doing that, and there's not enough of it, and there's so much people that need help. So it was really positive. And these are people that I probably see once every 6 months, that sort of thing. So they're not really close friends or anything, but they do know me as a certain identity, like what you said. So I've been changing this identity over the last few months. Or years, I guess, but still having to kind of break out of that idea of I play music, and when you the next is I'm catching up with my band next week and break the news to them, but no, they already know what ideally what I want to do, with helping people, and it's received quite positively. So it's great.
Now, I've mentioned to a couple of people what we're planning to do as well with this show, and they said the same thing. And I've yet to be in that situation where I've had to tell people what I do, because I'm just trying to think when the next time will be where I'll be in a position where I don't know anyone. It still might be, some months from now.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I have to probably preempt my response, rather than just being I'm an IT guy or I'm a business owner. It's even just to say I'm a coach it still feels foreign, even though I'm so wanting to do it. Like every fiber of my being is like, yep, this is it. I know what it is. I've already done parts of it for some people. I'm going to get some formal training. I'm going to have all of this, but just saying it is a bit weird, after like identifying as an IT guy or a business owner for so long. I still think, and again, this is my opinion. I think the word is still a little loaded in terms of, because I've been quite spiritual for so long. I've known of things like life coaches way back in the day, and I think when a life coach or any sort of coach from a personal aspect, when they were first being introduced to the world, so to speak, they had a bit of a stigma behind them, because people were like, why do you need somebody helping you with life? What's wrong with you? Don't you have friends or family, or can't you figure it out for yourself? And so the idea of a life coach back then was a bit odd. And it was almost always related to a lot of woo-woo stuff, a lot of things with crystals and Reiki and all of this alternative therapies that people knew of, and they kind of lumped like being a life coach in with that. And so knowing that, way back in the day. And now fast forward, 10, 15 years, and like now I want to be one. I've got that opinion of what they are. Whereas now, people that are half my age, that, if you say to them, life coach, goals coach, achievement coach, they're like, oh yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have that sort of stigma as what it did way back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, to be honest, now that I think about it, I can't wait to be like, hi, I'm Dexter. Hey, what do you do? It's like, I'm a coach. Because then it's almost like it's, like one, I don't think I'll ever be able to get rid of the small business owner in me. I've done it for so long. And now that I just heard myself say that introduction, it's almost like a lead in to a business discussion.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm a coach. Well, what sort of coach are you? Well, I'm a goals coach and I help people achieve this and achieve that. Oh, who do you help? Well, usually men maybe in their 40s that feel stuck, and it encourages this conversation. Whereas, if I say I'm an IT guy, they'll be like, oh yeah, well, so is like my son, so is my ex-partner. And then it becomes really odd. But I think that, saying that you're a coach will then lead to more positive discussions after that. Because the first thing they'll ask is, what like, do you coach a sport? I'm like, no, I coach, people that feel stuck or they need help, or, they're looking to make a change in their life. And then the discussion becomes a lot more, meaningful. So I am, in hindsight now, that I am looking forward to those discussions, even though it might feel a bit weird at the start.
It might feel weird at the start. Absolutely. I think, where we have all these terms like life coach and things like that, or even things in the spiritual realm, Reiki, whatnot. People, I think, they label it with something. There's a meaning there, and you say the word, and they conjure up this idea, even without actually knowing what it is. Like, but nowadays, because life coach has been out there for a while and that sort of thing, but even that, in terms of a life coach, when people used to ask me, what do I need a life coach for? Like you said, can't you go and get advice from your family or friends and things like that? I think the difference is they're not there to advise you, really. They're there to help you, guide you through certain things, whereas, it's good to get advice from friends. Everyone's got a different opinion, whereas the coach is really only concerned about your opinion and how to help you through that, for you to get what you want, not what they think you should get. You know what I mean? So I think that's the difference there as well, but yeah, people would have that opinion. Why would you need a life coach for?
It's funny, when I was talking to my cousin about this after I had told her, and it was funny. It took a while for me to register, but I don't know if it would actually trigger memories to people now that are, say, in their late 20s or 30s. But she did mention the fire walking. When you go to like an Anthony Robbins or something like that, where they do that positive, the positive self-talk. And then it's like, I totally forgot about those coals, all that sort of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was there, I don't know if I would do that. But obviously in the moment, I'm just saying, like, based on my opinion, but I reckon if I was there and the energy in that room and everything else, like, most likely. Yeah. But it's so funny how I thinking of life coaches, I thought of that. It actually came back, and I'm like, oh, that's just another thing that people kind of put to it, especially back in the day when Anthony Robbins started to get pretty big, and, they were introducing this. And I remember there was something on the news once where somebody got burnt because they walked too long. It was like so silly.
Coal stuck in between their toes.
Yeah,
and stuff like
I know. Or they took it too long.
Yeah.
But, look, it is a thing that, that was, I just call it loaded. I think it's more of a preconceived notion of what it is. Yeah. And I think it's changing a lot now. Yeah. Cause it's, I'm listening to a podcast and the person's a high performance coach. There are so many different coaches now. It's not just a life coach. It's just that, life coach just seems to have the term that encompasses quite a lot of stuff.
Yes, that's right.
Because a life coach could just focus on goals. It could focus on spirituality. It could focus on change. It could focus on trauma.
Yep.
But that term just seems to encompass all that. And for me, it's still a little bit. I'm still trying to get used to it.
Yeah.
I might just say coach for now, because people will be like, "Oh, is it like a football team or a soccer team?" I'm like, no, it's it's just one solid person that I'm trying to coach. Yeah. Oh, is it tennis? No, you're mistaken.
Actually, you triggered a memory. Actually, when you talk about the Coles and that sort of thing, Kerry, my partner, and myself. I think this was prior to COVID, and we went to one of these coaching events. Went for a couple of days, and at the end, what you had to do was they had this very thick steel bar in between you. It was probably about 6 feet or something in between you. What you had to do was walk towards each other, and it bent in the middle. And I thought, oh, no way, this isn't going to work. We had to put the bar to the bottom of our neck here.
Oh, yes.
And I thought, I'm going to get, shish kebabbed here. But no, it actually worked. And, I mean, the whole thing is kind of like a mind over matter thing, And by the time you got to that point, you were ready anyway. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's all interesting.
In my head, I'm thinking of those Shaolin monks that do that. They do it with spears.
Yes.
And they just sit there and it snaps, and I'm like, oh.
I'll leave the spears up to them. Thanks.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I always imagine those sorts of events similar to going to a sales call.
Yeah.
Where it's like, that at some point you're going to get sold to at the end, and that's the kicker. That's going to be it could be like a kick in the guts, because it's either expensive or that you're getting sold to.
Yeah.
Like, you go to these events and it's like, this guy's going to make me do something that I don't want to do. I did a couple of courses once, and some of them were remote, and I heard that some of the courses were like, they were to get you to go to the market and just lie on the ground, and that was it. It was, it was just something that was so harmless, but it was like, I'm going to do this despite what anybody else thinks, and nothing's going to hurt you or anything like that. But just the thought of it, it's just that, out of your comfort zone, once you kind of get used to that feeling.
Yeah.
And I never did it. I didn't. I wasn't part of that course, but I think when I got to that course, the previous people that had done it in previous years, they said, they made us go to the shops and lie down, like in the middle of the shopping center, and do nothing. Like, that's all you had to do, and you just had to sit there and accept the gazes, accept people's opinions of you at the time, which meant nothing, right? But for you to do that is quite tough. If you think about it now, like, people are automatically embarrassed of certain things, like, let alone going to the shopping center and like lying down.
Yeah.
And people are going, are you okay? So,
yeah.
But look, hopefully it changes. I don't know. I tend to think that it's changing from what I can see in the news somewhat. I don't watch the news too much, but there is a lot more emphasis on mental health. Now, whether or not that is promoting men talking about the problems, I'm not sure. But it's good to see that there are professionals out there, the people that people look up to in every endeavor, whether they're a sports person or an actor or someone that's good at something, talking about it. It's good to see that. But look, sometimes I think it's. I sometimes feel it's a bit. I'm not going to say it's false, because there's obviously some stuff there, but it's almost like I think they just say it for the sake of saying it. Like, there sometimes doesn't seem to be any substance behind what it is that they're saying. Sometimes they might attach it with a story, and if they do, I think it feels like there's a bit more impact.
Right.
And I also think that sometimes us as people I know that I think it's a problem in Australia. We have tall poppy syndrome. You know, we see people in positions of either power or stature or wealth, and if they talk about their mental health, especially men, we always cut them down and say, well, you know, if I had $20 million, like, what would I be sad about? You know, what's wrong with my life? And,
Yeah.
you know, the money has nothing to do with it, but
Correct.
it's almost like we tend to ignore that part, and then we inflate the other parts of their life that are like, we don't have that. We don't have that money. We don't have that lifestyle, or, you know, we're not traveling the globe, you know, like, why should we be jealous of you? Why should we listen to you crying out for help? Because you've got everything that I want. Like, what's wrong with you? Which I think is bad. I'm not sure if it's going to improve. I don't know. I just feel that some people say that because, you know, you go on social and somebody may post something up about, you know, I'm not competing in this tournament because my mental health, I've had a problem dealing with like addiction of some sort. And for the most part, you would like to think that the comments are 100% positive, but it's 50-50 almost. Sometimes, depending on who it is, it's even more in the negative than not.
Yeah.
You know, it's all in your head, you know, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
I think it's getting there, but I think we're pretty far off still for it to be something that's mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, people go through problems regardless of their status, you know, whatever they're doing. If they're in the spotlight, they've probably got more pressure on them than, you know, you and I, you know, sitting at home and everyday problems. But regardless of whether it's someone like that in the public eye or my problems paying my bills or something like that, it's still our own problems, you know. And so to us, it could seem like a 10 out of 10 is in a huge problem. And, you know, then someone else on social media is going, you think that's a problem, you know, I can top that. But really, we have that as our own experience, you know, our own 10 out of 10 of what's extreme for us. And I think, you know, the more we can have kind of compassion for people, regardless of where they are, regardless of their political views and things like that, the thing that we do certainly share as common people is we have emotions. We all feel them, right? And when people cut people down, it's of course going to exacerbate the situation, you know, in some regard. So why kind of jump on the bandwagon and make something even worse, you know? My mum used to say, if you got nothing nice to say,
yeah,
you know,
don't say
it.
it.
Because you know, you might feel like that, but all you're doing is putting the way you feel onto someone else that's already feeling terrible anyway. So unless you can help the situation, I don't think it's worth you know, jumping on the bandwagon or mentioning it. You know, I think people need help when they're you know, reaching out for help. If they're commenting and, you know, putting posts up that I need help or this is happening or that's happening, that's coming from a true place. You know, some people, yeah, might be right. You know, maybe some people are saying things to kind of maybe get likes or you know, more attention, that sort of thing. We don't really know what people's intentions are, I guess, you know, at the end of the day, that's on them. But I think, you know, from where I sit anyway, I'd like to kind of put more help into the world, more love into the world. If there's something that I don't like, I'm just going to move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It's funny, when you were talking, you made me think of the strangest thing. I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it, guys, because I think it's I think it's relevant.
Yeah.
It was I can't remember the context. I understand the explanation, and I've heard it from a couple of different sources, some podcasts and some conspiracy theory stuff, and so I can't credit it to one. But the context was if aliens came down and invaded Earth, the planet as a whole would join together to stop them.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, do we need to get to that level of love where we as one planet have to come together to destroy them? And, we won't have this difference of equality. You know what I mean? We're all the same. We all have this one goal, whereas at the moment we all have these different goals.
Yeah.
And so that's where we have these disparaging remarks. Okay, well, you I know you've got a problem, but I don't care about you because you're much richer than I am.
Yeah.
So suffer to you. Whereas if we were all working towards the same thing, i.e. getting rid of the aliens or whatever it is, then we would help each other out.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where there are so many different things. Some people are fighting for this, some people are fighting for that. There are so many different sides that, you're never going to get a universal answer for love, for help, for understanding, because you're just going to get somebody from the opposition just say the most vile stuff towards your situation.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, well, we almost need this one common goal, which we don't have, which, unless we get aliens, we won't have until we get that common goal of, okay, let's put all of our efforts in. I do remember that Rogan has said this a couple of times, and I think other podcasts have said this, where after 9/11, he said that the entire city, in fact, the entire country, was filled with a lot more love because of the great loss that they had. They felt as a community, as a country, as a nation, they felt a lot more together. So obviously it's much different now, but the weeks and months, potentially maybe in years after that, there was a greater sense of being together.
Yeah.
And so when you were talking about that, I thought, oh, aliens could bring us together. maybe that way we could all talk without all this prejudice.
They might too.
Yeah, I know. But it's I sort of I think we have, my son. Well, your sons are a little bit older, but I can see a lot more tenderness coming from my son and his friends, and just talking to them, they just seem a lot less gung-ho, and a lot, they seem to have a lot more affection towards each other. Like, not affection in that way, but, they genuinely care about each other's feelings. And that goes with both sexes as well, like their attitude towards females and males. Like, I think it's getting there in terms of being a lot more open. I know in school they encourage that. And I think it's our job as fathers to encourage them to talk, not so much to, potentially do what some of our fathers did and maybe not talk because they were either working or they were too busy, or, they just wanted to rest. So hopefully in the next generations and the generations after that, there's going to be a lot more openness about talking about feelings. And, I don't think we'll ever get to the same level as females, maybe. But hopefully if we can just get enough so that a person or a guy in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s that is asking for help is genuinely not afraid to do so, and is willing to talk to somebody, talk to anyone, and then really listen. But then at the same time, it's hopefully by then there are people out there, and not just professionals like us, potentially just normal guys out there that are willing to give them the right answers, the right advice, or the right, ideas to then go, look, I might not know how to help, but I know some people that can help you out, or I've been down your path and this is what I did. So it's almost like a two-edged sword, right? Like you want to have more guys talk out about this stuff and just say, hey, I need help. But at the same time, you need guys to be like, hey, man, I hear you, and this is what I think you should do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% right. When you talk about the next generation, our kids, when I reflect on them and their friends, they're so kind of close bonded, open. Now, I can only speak from my experience and what I see. There'll probably be, the opposite of that as well. It will be true, but I think, on a global scale, I think the world's getting more conscious of the problems, and that can only be a good thing where we're raising our consciousness. So I do believe there is a lot more compassion, a lot more openness, and we will get to a point, certainly, I think, with the next generation where, the discussion we're having will, it'll be a bit more rare, I think, you know what I mean? I think there will be a lot more openness from what I see. So we'll concentrate on helping our generation for the time being.
What are these two talking about all the time? This Reiki and crystals and come on, I'm too old for this stuff. Funnily enough, in saying that, I think that age plays a huge part in awareness and opening up. You're from your 20s to your 30s, it might be all about friends and starting families and that sort of stuff. And once you get a little bit older, a lot of the things that you either tried to shield or that you immediately put a stonewall for, you're kind of like, okay, well, here's this guy again about spirituality. Like, I'm old now. Maybe I'll listen to what they have to say. And when you start listening, it's like, hey, that's not so bad. At this time of my life, I could use a bit of that. I could use a bit of clarity, or I could use a bit of openness and air and faith. It doesn't have to be a religion. It could be faith in something else. Yeah. So, definitely the older the years roll on adds to that. That's good.
And that with spirituality, I think that's another one where you mention that word and people kind of get an idea of what it is, Oh, no, I don't want to hear about that.
Tie-dye and crystals and the smell, the incense burning. It's the same thing.
Well, that's me, except for the tie-dye. I'm not doing the tie-dye anymore, but...
All right, Shane. So, what's your advice for men out there wanting to potentially open up?
If you can't speak to someone, or you choose not to speak to someone professionally, find 1, 2, 3 close friends that you can open up with. They don't have to be males. Preferably, it would be great if you have one close male friend that you can open up with, that both you and you can be a confidant, as well as, open up to someone with your problems. But if not, find a female friend. They will, I promise you, they will listen and open up with you, and they're a great ear to listen to. But if you can get a male friend, would be preferable, because they understand what you're going through as a man, as a father, and as sometimes the breadwinner of the house. That's what
Perfect.
I would say.
No, my sentiments exactly, and yes, watch out for any females that you decide to take on board as a friend. Like, I'm fine. I'm happily married for many years, but it doesn't take much. And as long as you're on board and you're genuinely in it to help yourself, but also help them as well, in a spiritual way, very friendly way, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Shane. Okay, let's just keep this going then.
Right.
That went fast. Hey, 40.
It did. 48 minutes.
That's almost an hour. I reckon we could have.
We kind of went off topic a little bit but with our talking about our coaching, but we'll be right.
No. Well, I think we kind of have to, in a way, like, without it being explicitly. But at the same time, it actually gives people an idea of what else is out there, because I think guys generally just think of mental health line, and that's it. But that's, you call. I've not called it, so I don't know. So I'm not sure as to how far down they go. Do they say, what's your problem, and potentially try and solve it? Or do they say, you need to psychiatrist, or is a coach actually an option that people are, that these sorts of organizations are actually pushing people towards?
Yeah.
I don't know, because, I reckon, if I was in the situation sort of 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I wouldn't even think of a coach, but I know they were out there then. Coaches have been around for a while. It's just obviously starting to become a lot more prevalent because people are having more problems, right? So they're having a lot more problems. Psychiatrists are very expensive. They're, sometimes you have to wait a long time, and the way in which you converse with these people, you might have 3 or 4 psychiatrists, all that are expensive, and you speak to them and you just don't get along with them. It could be the same with coaches as well. But coaches are a bit more affordable. There's probably a lot more to be able to pick from in terms of what's comfortable for you. There might be somebody that's, down your alley, whereas you look at the psychiatrist, there might not be, they might have to go through school, they're of a certain age, and they might do the same thing, so it might be a bit different.
Yeah.
I know we're recording, but if you need to speak to somebody, it's all good.
Sorry, did you need? No, sorry.
Yeah. But no, I thought that was cool. I thought we sort of kept on board. I thought it was fun. I reckon we could have gone for ages after that.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, is that an actual thing behind you?
It is. Yeah. Did you think it was one of these fake things?
I thought it was. Yeah, you know why? Because when we had the Zoom, you had the fake one, right?
No. When we had
you did. You're right. It's the same one. Oh, that's hilarious. Because a couple of times, I think when we were talking, your internet. This was before, like not during the chat.
Yep.
Your internet went a bit slow, so it would make your background a bit funny. Yep. And I actually thought that was a virtual background until someone started to fold it.
I think it's because of the blur that's around me.
Yes.
Yeah, it might be that. When I'm moving, sometimes you get
that's hilarious.
Something weird around me. What I thought that
was cool.
Yeah, it went well. What I was going to say about the you suggested, where do people go? Do they speak to a psychiatrist or whatever? I think the thing with the coaches, one, they're very relatable, and you can find one that's had a similar experience to you. So it's not just somebody that is professional to help you. Yeah, that's right. So you can find someone that's actually had your experience as well as having the know-how and skill to kind of guide you through that. Whereas psychiatrists, they will certainly have years and years of study, but it doesn't really guarantee that they really know your position, where you're from, and what you're going through.
Yeah. But no, I have some friends that are seeing a couple of them for certain weird things, and the cost is astronomical.
Is it really?
What are they asking you? It's like they're asking me all the questions I know the answers to, but is it helping?
Yeah.
It's like, no. It's like, I'd rather talk to you and tell you my problems. I don't want to tell these guys.
Are they telling you anything in the end, or do they just kind of go take these pills?
They're just sketching stuff out of the side.
Yeah, that's it.
But that's cool. So, how, in terms of you bought the domain? Like, are you starting to put the website up and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, that's my next thing. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I was trying to decide. I've got a friend that she's kind of not pushing, but she's shown me a company that she's with. It's an Indian company, actually. What do they call? Tag Mango. Ever heard of them?
Tag Mango.
Tag
No,
Mango.
I haven't.
Yeah. They've been around for a little while, but and they've got different tiers, but they've got so they're really well set up for coaches. And,
okay. You're talking about a platform.
Yeah.
Okay. System is what you should use. System.io.
System. Oh, yes. Yeah. So
that's what I use.
I was with them, but this has got. So if you wanted to host courses, you get
System
that
does
with
it.
Does it?
Yeah, System does. So basically, System has been around for a while, and everyone's jumping to it from Kajabi. If you heard of Kajabi, Kajabi is like the bees. Everyone uses Kajabi or Go High Level.
Yes.
And then Kajabi is just like hideously expensive. And so everyone's hopped off to System. So I bought System a while back for 3 domains, and it was cheap. And there's a free tier.
Yeah.
And you can do memberships, you can do courses, you can do sales funnels.
Do they have a booking funnel or a booking kind of?
Yep. Yeah, like I think you can get Calendly and use an API and hook it all in.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing as well. Like there are so many System like people that know how to use it properly.
Yeah.
That it's funny. I actually joined a Facebook group. This is before I got my VA, because my VA knows it quite well. I've self-taught a bit of it, so I kind of know how things work. And then he's come on board and he does most of it now.
Yeah.
But I remember I joined some of the System groups on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey, can anyone show me some websites built on System, because I want to see like the quality I can get."
Yeah.
And within like 2 minutes, I had like 50 people DMing me about, I can help you with System. I can help you with this. And it's like, and they'd be at rates that are very affordable.
Yeah.
Like they're really cheap.
Okay. Cool.
So if you've got it, have a look at it. I can send you. I can even send you some YouTube, because I was looking at doing it myself, and I looked at some YouTube videos, and it was so easy to do a course.
Yeah.
Like a self-paced course where you just record yourself. It was so easy to do that.
Yeah.
Then there's a membership site, and the sales funnel. It was like super easy to do.
Oh, so they do have a on System itself. It has a membership site.
Yeah.
Because that was the kind of selling point for this thing. You pay, I think it was $450 lifetime. So you've got the whole thing System, or you've got the whole platform.
Yeah.
So it does the courses, does a community like Circle or School.
I think School is probably leading in that, and I think what happens is that you're not going to have the one platform that is the be all and end all. Like I think Kajabi still leads in course creation.
It does.
And in terms of people that know how to use it, but it's just hideously expensive. System is System's a close second. I've got RGs helping 2 people with their System websites, just in terms of their funnels as well. And there's heaps of people around that can support it.
This one itself, not many people have heard of it because it's from India. But there was a guy that I was doing some of his training a couple of years ago, and he actually is one of the main kind of, I don't know if he was involved with developing it, but he's like one of the number one creators. He's got tens of thousands of students through this platform. So it's pretty good. It's got email, and I think you get 3 years worth of Zoom in it as well.
Okay.
Hooked up with it,